Sign up now at elevate.miami.edu for my course, Organized Rhyme.
Looking at the word legacy, while involving some wordplay, I'll use the first syllable to build upon. We'll use the first syllable, leg. For the second syllable, we'll use an. And for the third syllable, we'll use the word knee. So now we have leg and knee. Can we use it in context with legacy? Let's just see.
Word, 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 word. Word, 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 word.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of What Words Are Worth. And today, if you love music, this is a producer that's able to produce music for any genre, any style. And he's definitely an icon to us in this hip hop game as far as making beats. He's one of those guys that, if you will call him up and you say, yo, I need a style like this, he can do it. I need a song that sound like this, he can do it. Man, this guy's been making beats for years. Definitely been dope, especially on the Detroit scene, well known. He goes by the name of 14KT. And today we're going to build with him about all his endeavors as far as, songwriting and his tips and learning the secrets to making these beats that got us nodding our head every time we hear him. And also talk about some of the history he has with, Athletic Mike League and just coming up making beats for others and his future endeavors and what he got going on. So welcome to What Words Are Worth, the phenomenal super producer 14KT. What's up, brother? How you doing?
What up, man? I'm good, man. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm great, man. This is special to have you on here, man, because me and you go a long way, and then seeing the evolution and growth of what you do has been phenomenal for me, man.
Well, hey, man, thank you. For me as well.
Thank you, man. So speaking of that, if people don't know, you did the Charlie Murphy record for EMC,
Yep.
and you've done so much other dope music and albums. But the first time that I got wind of you, we got the Athletic Mike League. We got to go there.
Yeah. You got to go there. That's where it started. That's where we met. We all met you.
That's how we met, right? I got the CD here. I think one of the last times, I think I might have showed you a picture. I still had the CD. I actually was looking for it a little while ago, like before we started the interview, to try to have it. But I got it here, man. If anything, I'll add it in post-production and be like, look, y'all, I got it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how did y'all start that collective? What was it about? The kind of and then y'all got dope music that y'all put out since then, that I watched the videos.
Yeah, thank you. Man, shoot. Man, we started 1994. Around 1994. We just was friends. We were all friends. Like before we were rhyming, we was just hanging out, playing basketball, just talking about sports, and then we just all kind of gravitated towards rap. We was fans. We was huge fans of rap. So we just started messing around with rhymes, but we all did it together, because we was already hanging out every day all the time. So we just started writing rhymes together. Then that led to making beats. Then it led to, oh, we should try to get in the studio, and then that whole phase of learning how to make a song in the studio and all that. We went through all that, and then it just, I had no idea I'd still be doing rap music today. You know what I'm saying? Like I had no
Yo,
idea.
that's what's
You
so
know,
crazy to me is like knowing I got that CD and then to now I always trip on that stuff today too. So being
yeah,
that it's athletic Mike League, the hanging out aspect, I saw that the album Playground Volume 1, right? Was it
yeah, Playground Volume, yeah, Playground
Play,
Legends, Volume 1.
Playground
Yeah.
Legends? So does the athletic Mike League and the Playground Legends, does that all just basically because the glue is that y'all all play sports? How did that? Is that where'd you get the name to decide on that?
Yeah, pretty much, man. You know, at that time, my man Wes, he's one of the members in the group. He came up with the name because it was so many of us in the group. It was about 7 of us at the time.
Right.
At one time it was 8, and then that member left. But like since it was so many of us, we felt like we were like in our own league, like because there wasn't any groups like as big as us around our way. So we felt like we wanted to have something like NBA, like the NBA is a league. So we were like, let's just be AML. So he said Athletic Mike League just because we love sports. And then we wanted to connect that to the MC and the same competitiveness and just the love we had. So we just put those two together and just became AML. So
Dope. And then how you get your name? How you get the sports EKT?
yeah. So a lot of people usually think or like associated with gold. I understand why, you know,
Yeah.
but I actually got it from basketball. It's like it was like my way of translating, you know, the court to the rap that was my number 14, and my real name is Kendall Tucker. So when they used to announce the name, they would say number 14, Kendall Tucker, you know, and back then they called me KT. So I just put 14 KT together, like that's my jersey. So it's like me rocking my jersey.
Yeah,
You
that
know?
was almost just like perfectly just like sent to you. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
yeah, yeah. I just like realized it, you know what I'm saying? Realized the name, and I was like, that's it, you know. So, you
so
know,
when you're creating, so this is the question every show I ask is, what are we doing today? Are we doing paper, pen, computer, phone, in your head you writing? How you writing today?
shoot, man, I actually write a lot in my head. I always have. It kind of starts in my head, and then I usually put it on a voice note, whether I'm like beatboxing or I still freestyle and rap. I'll still throw raps and they might turn into a hook or something like that. But I always like go to my phone and probably put it in a voice note. And then later on, when I get in the studio, I just take it off there and then just start building the ideas and making it real. So it's definitely
So,
that phone to the computer. Yeah.
yeah, so you've been writing in the head for like since you started?
Yep. Yeah. Well, not like writing without like pen paper.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but nowadays I don't use the pen and the paper as much. I usually just use my phone and just kind of like record into it like lines or record
Yeah. And then
melodies, yeah, whatever it is. Yeah.
so then when you writing now, are you writing or making beats in the studio, like your own setup there, or do you like to when you travel out? Because some people have that different comfort of like, I need to go here and kind of zone out. What's your preference?
Yeah. I mean I would prefer to travel. But in recent times I haven't traveled as much. I kind of been in the studio at the crib, doing a lot of mixing and making beats. So I just kind of use my imagination when I'm at home and I'm in the studio. I use my imagination. Like I'm one of them guys that like to like, study things and like look up things and documentaries and watch things, and then I just incorporate that into the music. So I'm always doing that. So, but I'm usually at home doing that.
You
More than
said you
anything.
rather travel though. So what's because I know like that driving and you get to look out the window. I know that adds to a lot with the creativity. So why do you prefer to travel? Is that some of it?
Because like every time you travel it's an experience. It's like a different experience you get, and you never know how them experiences influence how you create in the music. And there are so many times that when I have traveled I always either made music there or came back with an idea that I heard, and then just come back. Like recently I went to Mexico like a couple weeks ago, so I was able to travel and hearing the Cuban instruments and hearing some of the congos and some of the percussion gave me an idea for like, I need more instruments, more percussion instruments. I want to put more of that in my music. So just having those little experiences and hearing things, and then wanting to incorporate that in the music is another way of how I create too. So that's why traveling is important, because had I not did that, I wouldn't know, or be open to that experience. You know what I'm saying?
So what's your preferred atmosphere as far as like, if you're in Mexico, is it like going to the beach or like just looking over the balcony or nighttime, daytime? What's the,
All of that. Really, it's all of that. Like it was raining when I was out there. The rain can do a lot, for creating. Just looking off of a balcony or walking along a beach, having a conversation with somebody, and conversations is probably the number one thing that I create from. Like if I'm having a conversation with someone or talking, something's going to come from that will spark an idea. And that's usually, that's usually how it happens, whether it's just me creating or me creating with somebody,
And then do you have like a lot of people in the studio when you working, or you coming up with ideas?
Yeah, nah, I never had a lot of people since AML, of course. Like we would be in the studio, so
yeah.
Usually it's just me, and it might be another musician or another artist, maybe at the most 3 people in the room, but it's usually not a lot of people in the room when I'm creating.
Yeah. Okay, and then what do you need? Do you need like certain beverages or certain stuff like to be like,
Nah, not at all. Not at all. Not at all, man. I usually have like some tea. If it's anything, I'll have some tea or some water or something, but that's it. Because I'm usually like just focused on the music. So I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, it seemed like it's changed as we've gotten older, the atmosphere, like younger is like, yo, come through.
Yeah.
Yo, come through. Yeah, come through. What y'all doing?
That's how it used to be. That's how it used to be. It's just like, yo, we gonna be here from this time to this time. Just stop through, say what up, listen, blah blah blah. But a lot of my homies, they travel a lot and they're always around a lot. So that's how it is.
It's funny, man, because like we had to get like used to that, not having that much like going on and still being productive. Because now it's the same on my side. I don't have a whole bunch of people visiting me like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's more so like it's quiet, but you still have to kind of fight through that quiet to like be productive and be like, sometimes I gotta like get up and just come into the studio to kind of get my mind there. This is what I'm doing. Before it used to be more so, yo, what time you coming through? You rolling through? Yo, we gonna be here. So that kind of could be like it's a fight, but I think it also kind of prepares you, right? Because like you get hired to make beats for people, or you might have to go produce for another artist, and it ain't always gonna be the artist ain't even there sometimes. And you in the studio by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a lot of times where artists might show up 3 hours, after I'm there, but I always have a plan. I always have a plan for like what I'm gonna do. And worst come to worst, I can always work on something while I'm there. So, like just start something new or start an idea in the meantime. So those things all help me out, like in those times to like, okay, instead of getting mad or whatever, it's like, okay, well, let me use this and let me tweak this and let me work on these vocals so that whenever they come in, I might have finished 2 or 3 things already, and then we can just keep it moving. So we still been productive like that whole time. So those are things that I learned from years and years, of trying to maximize your time in the studio, when you can. But yeah.
And then I was gonna say, then a lot of times doing that, you probably had moments when the artists show up and you'd be like, yeah, I'm just working on this. Yo, what's that?
Yep, exactly. Now we doing that. You doing that?
Yeah, because I know you ain't sitting there making nothing terrible. So I know you making joints after joints after joints. So you make it. You actually making it harder for the artist. You know what I'm saying? Because you sitting there like, we got this, we working on today. The artist is focused on, I got the bars for this, I'm coming in, what we doing? Then
I will say sometimes I don't like, if I made 2 or 3 ideas before the artist come in, I might not play them all at that time. Like I might
Okay.
ask them what they want to do. If this their session, you know what I'm saying? I might ask them what they're gonna do, but eventually I'm gonna play them. I'm gonna be like, all right, but I made these.
Yeah,
But
I'm
it's all
laughing
good. It's all
because
good.
I know what that's like to be the artist coming in here and the producer, and then I know how dope you are with the joint. So I'm like, this guy put people in the pressure because you like working on this, and then that person is like, man, this beat might be, you know, we might need this on the album too, and that on the album. Yeah, I'm gonna come back to that. So, oh man, that's funny, man,
Right.
because I just know that I just know that's the pressure you put people under. You and it ain't like you mean to do it. You just making beats.
Yeah, I mean, if that happens, it happens. But yeah, I'm just making beats, man. I'm
Oh
just making
man,
more than anything. I just be trying to make something that somebody gets excited to hear. Like, you know,
right.
like they hear it, be like, "Yo, I want to do something with that." That's what I'm trying to do every time I'm in there.
So that's cool. So when you're making these beats with this downtime, because I've spoken to other producers, of course, and it's been like you in there making beats on the downtime. Do you ever be like, yeah, I'm gonna keep these joints for my joint, you know? But
Yeah, all
you
the
know what
time.
I'm saying?
Yeah, all the time, all the time. You
Yeah,
got to, You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
everybody do it. Everybody
yeah.
do it.
These joints is fire. I ain't gonna play these for them when they come out. I'm gonna just keep these joints for my joint. Oh man, that's what's so funny being in the studio and knowing all these things going on is comedy, man. All
Yeah.
right, so your writing style, right? So when you're writing and I listen to you rhyming, you know, you're straight to the point, it's clear. I feel like there's a lesson in there as well. You
Yeah, for
got the
sure.
you got the essence of the bragging in there, being fly with it, but more so and more importantly, it feels like you're choosing the words wisely to make sure that you're saying something. So like definitely, you know, I know you being in a group, there's that competitiveness, of course. You could be friends, but we still trying to have a hot verse. So how did you figure out your style of yeah, this is what I like to say and what I like to talk about.
Hey man, yeah, it started with the group, because we were doing that all the time, and we always made it a point to be like, let's talk about what we want to talk about, not what anyone else want to talk about. Like you said, like we talking about cereal today, and then we just gonna do whatever we're gonna say about cereal and do it our way. And that's what we did. If you listen to AML's music from Sweats and Kicks to Jungle Jim Jungle to all that, you'll hear it. You'll hear all these different songs that just come from our own perspective. So when I started to write, like when I first started to write, I was kind of like listening to all my, like my heroes on the rhymes, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? I was writing a lot when I, heard your music first and heard you rhyming, you know what I'm saying?
thanks.
And my homie Invincible too as well, you know.
Yeah, shout
So
out to
yeah, so she came up in the same hip hop community, so we were always writing together.
So who's some of the other people that you kind of could kind of see like I have a piece of this person, I have a piece of that person because I kind of can identify like what I took from that one, and then kind of eventually you evolve into you. You might start out
Yeah,
sounding like somebody, even our most famous artists, if we hear first verse from them, be like, oh, all right, you can say Jay-Z sounded like Jazzo. You can say
yeah,
Nas sounded like G-Rap and Rakim. You can actually hear it, and then eventually you grow into who you are. So who are
right.
the puzzle pieces to making 14 KT?
Yeah, like I was listening to a lot of Nas. Like I love how Nas would rap. Just because he was so detailed in the way he would rhyme. So I wanted to be more of that. So you can hear me attempting to be like that a lot, in my rhymes. Old Common, like the first Common, the first era Common, and how the punchlines, he would write the punchlines and set them up. There was a bunch of local MCs too, like my man Elzai, he was always dope back then. So just the way he was putting words together, these are the people I would strive to be like, but I wasn't trying to sound like them, but I'd just be like the way that they flow on the record. I want to flow
Yeah.
that good too. Let me work on my flow, so AML was like the playground for us to mess with flows and do different things. And we didn't hold anybody to be like, yo, you got to stick to this or you got to do this because this is our sound. You know, our sound and our writing style just came from us being free, allowing each other to be free to write. And, you know, the more I started to grow in my writing, I think I just evolved because I got a whole bunch of favorites, you know, from the Black Thoughts to you know, man, what was I listening to? I was listening to a lot of Wu-Tang. Man, everybody. It's just like at that time I'm listening to everybody. And I just take different pieces, but really, really Common and Nas. A little bit of Ice Cube, just in the sense of being direct. You know, I'm not as direct as Ice Cube. He's way more direct than I was, but I like the way he would say things without using a lot of words.
Right.
So sometimes I try to do that. But yeah, I get inspired by everybody, even today, like, you know, just certain people that the way they rhyme, like a Conway, you know, or cats like that. It's just the way that I still think like, man, how did they put that together? And it's so dope how they rhyme this and had this pattern and kept this pattern the whole time. So I still love listening to patterns and raps, you know.
That's probably my go-to. That's probably my go-to today. Like Conway, if I need somebody to like get amped about, like to write some bars, I'll throw some Conway on. That's probably my go-to. And then like hearing you talk about like Wu-Tang, that's what I'm thinking about. Athletic Mike League. I'm like, okay, I see that there. And then you know what's so dope, I think about like the posses like that, the crews like that, is like going from a Juice Crew, and then you could say a Flavor Unit, and then you got, you know, you can go to Wu-Tang, and then even going to you, is that now, even though like we're all competitive as rappers and artists, a group like those groups prior and up to Wu-Tang made me appreciate everybody in the group.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like when I listen to your group, I'm listening to everybody, and I'm like, yeah, that verse is fire. Yo, that's kind of like, I'm a fan of everybody for their style. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just like, of course, I think everybody has a favorite in every group. You got your favorites and this and that. But despite that, you still can listen to the entire song. Right. You still want to hear everybody's part. And sometimes, you know how we'll have friends or people, your favorite might be like, my favorite in Wu-Tang was Jizza. And then you have people that be like, yeah, you know, I was messing with you, God, and you messing with Raekwon, and you be like, yeah, I like them too. You know, but I kind of relate more with Jizza. So that's how I felt like listening to Athletic Mike League. I'm listening to everybody rhyme and then waiting and seeing the different styles, which is it's dope, because I think y'all pulled it off with understanding like, I'm gonna do me when I get on, and appreciate it, man. So yeah, it's dope, man. So y'all gotta go check the projects out. Go ahead.
Yeah, you said it, man. That like that's what we were inspired by, being a group, like listening to Wu-Tang, and everybody had a different style, and just like we listened to Souls of Mischief and how everybody had a different style in there. You know, Tribe Called Quest, you know, like Q-Tip and Fife had different styles, but they still complemented each other. You know, Outkast, you know, with Big Boy and Andre, they still compliment. So that's the groups we were always listening to. So it's kind of like those were helping us chisel like how we found our own individual, you know, styles, but still, you know, represented as a collective, you know. So
yeah, man, yeah, did a great job and do a great job doing it. So how long does it take for you to write a verse, song, beat? All of that, you know,
man, verse nowadays, it could take anywhere from maybe an hour if I'm inspired to a week, you know, a week or two sometimes. A song, I think it all just depends on inspiration for me, but most of the time I don't work quick. I will say I don't work quick. Quick meaning like I'm not going to get it done in 10 minutes, 20 minutes or whatever. You know, it takes a while for me to sit down, because sometimes I got to generate ideas and then, you know, find a direction for, you know, where I want to go. So Same with beats. Is sometimes it takes a minute for me to sit down and if I'm trying to find a direction. But some days I sit down and I don't think and I just go and I just do whatever. And it might be 15 minutes. You know, I make a beat.
Has
But
it,
that's
has it
it.
has it been opportunities or just moments when, because I believe like knowing how well you are with making all of the stuff like dope, close, perfected, if not perfected, perfection is there. Do you think of the incentives of money will make you finish faster?
Sometimes, sometimes, yeah.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying, right? You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
quality control and all of that. It's funny because we have this quality control of, okay, this verse I may take an hour or a week or a year, whatever, right? On the beat, whatever you're doing. But then me and you right now get hit up. Yo, we got 50,000 for a joint for tomorrow.
Yeah, you got yeah. I mean, I think it's just because like the money is kind of part of accountability too. So like, if you're getting paid or if I'm paying someone, then I'm, there's you expect it to kind of that person to take priority for your record that they're putting time into it. That's what's assumed, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's what I feel. And if it's no money, it's kind of like I really want to work on it. So I'm gonna work on it when I can. But if I have something I'm working on money, that might be priority just because I'm more on this person paid me or I paid this person. So it's kind of like accountability thing. That's really it. Priority.
I love hearing you say the accountability aspect because that's really what it is. And I like to ask this question because of course I'm just like how you are. Like, if I can take longer, I'm gonna take longer if I can. But I do know, from us being in the industry and doing music, we don't always get the time we want.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So like when you're mixing, like sometimes is it the same thing? You take like you have the liberty and then you have deadlines, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like sometimes I have deadlines, and I just got to figure out how to get them done. If I really want to do this project, or if I want to make that album and get that on there, I'm gonna just have to do it. So you just realize sometimes you do it that way, or like I've learned also to never rush an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to be like, yo, you give me this verse by Wednesday, unless I got a deadline. Unless I got a deadline, then I have to tell you that. But I would rather you write on your own time and we just keep checking in until it get finished, because that's the best. The best music comes from that. So I usually don't give anyone a deadline. I just hope that they're hyped to work on it so much that they end up working on it and finishing it, just like I would be hyped. If you ask me something and I'm working on the beats because I really want to get it done. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's just where I'm at, with it. But sometimes, money is always a motivation, like I said, with the accountability. But I just having fun, wanting to get it done for me nowadays, that's what drives me, is like I just want to finish this mug and, share it just because a lot of artists, they work on a lot of stuff and it don't come out, it still don't come out. And that's the thing that bothers me the most is the time that could be wasted, when you could be putting something out or getting something done. So that's more important to me now than before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's dope that for people to hear you explain it, because you're so revered that they hear that you're saying like, yeah, you got this, but understand there's a business accountability to it, that you got to do this. So you got to be very mindful of when to approach it this way and when to approach it that way. So
absolutely.
So what about, are you coming up with the chorus first or verse first? Which one is, how do you roll with it?
Most of the time verses come first. I'm a concept kind of guy. So once I figure out a concept, usually the lines start to come first when I'm writing. But if a chorus comes, like if I make a beat or if I'm making the beat and I hear a melody and the chorus comes, I lay that first too. Like if it comes quicker, just let that idea come out and then start building on that. You're actually done with the song a lot. If you have the beat and you have the chorus, it's like that's the majority of the song right there. You know,
Yeah.
so sometimes it works out that way too.
And then do you prefer to write to the beat or use things that you already have prepared? Because you said you like pre-recording things in the phone and all that. Do you
Yep.
kind of like, and then you're the producer, so you kind of have that extra leeway to say, let me craft it around this rhyme I've already written, or let me craft something and then write it. Which one do you prefer?
You said it. Like I do all of that. If I'm writing to my own beat, or if I'm writing to a beat that a homie did or anything, I really with mine, I'll just talk about me. I can change the beat if I want to, right? I can do whatever I want.
Right.
That's the fun part about it. But the dope part about producing is like you hear stuff in the beat that nobody hears because you're making it. So I can hear the flow, or I can hear a cadence, or I can make the beat do a cadence where I can find the flow. It's either I find the flow first and then I'll figure out how to adjust the rhymes in it, or sometimes I'll have the rhymes prepared, but like it'll have to be the right beat. But if it's a certain beat that say I like this beat, but it isn't, I gotta fix the rhyme, I'll go back and change the rhythm of the rhyme to fit it with the beat. So I'm really open. I'm really open, like to the flow. Like it makes sense when you hear it and it's happening, but I'm open to the flow of creativity. That's the easiest thing. So
That's dope, because that having that luxury, man, I know it gotta. I think it definitely got to add another sense of fun to it too, because you there and then you change up the sound and
yeah,
I know that adds like another realm of fun to it. So then
yeah.
once you're making these, and then how are we going with revising the rhymes? Are you how do you approach revising the verses or revising the song, remixing?
I usually like to sit with records for a little bit, just because certain things come to mind after after a while, after some time. So yeah, revisions sometimes, I kind of like, yeah, there's times like if you work with me, I'll make a song like I'm throwing something here, and then I sit back and look at it, then put something else in there and sit back and look at it and put something else, and then I'm like, it's done. And sometimes I create that way. So like I might send you a beat and you'll send me a rhyme back. And after you send me a rhyme, I might hear another instrument, or I might hear another piece that I want to add.
Wow.
So I might add those pieces in, and then it turns into something a little different. And then maybe when you hear what I send you back, you might be like, oh, you went and took this. I'm going to change this part to fit this part. So it's just us kind of like connecting and working together, but it'll end up, sounding crazy just because we're just chiseling ideas until refining ideas until we finish the song. So my process is always happening, because I'm always like, when I'm working, I'm always listening to things or keeping an idea in my mind, and then I come in the studio and then just add that one piece and then walk out, and then come in, I might add this one piece and then walk out. So I do it piece by piece sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because it goes to my whole next question. Like everything's flowing to what you're saying. I do have a question about it too. When you're making beats, drums first or sample first?
Ooh.
Or no drums? Because
Yeah, I mean, once again, it just depends on how I feel. But I'll say in recent times, I'm probably been sample first.
Okay.
Yeah, in recent times I've been saying, because I can hear drums in my head before I make them, and I'll just just kind of tap out the sample, and then I'll work on the drums after. So that's what I've been doing lately. So I'll say sample first, for sure.
Okay, cool. And then where you at as far as you prefer making the beats or rapping? Because you started off, I believe, rapping first, or you was always making beats in the crew too?
Yeah, I started off rapping first, and then
Okay.
started making beats, but I would definitely prefer making beats, as I kind of been doing, for a long time. Making beats is just funner for me to do. And the fact I know so many dope people that rap and sing is kind of like, I'd rather you just do your thing and I just be on the beats. So that's what I usually do.
Yeah. And then as far as when you're writing, how important is it the storytelling aspect of what you're writing? So when I, like I said earlier, I was actually watching videos of a lot of the stuff and things like that, and then listening to you rap. It's narrative. It's not like just like bragging about you. It's more like lesson driven and yo, this is what's happening. This is what can happen. This is happening. How important
Yeah,
is the story aspect to your style?
man, absolutely important. Like I said, you know, listening to the Nas's and listen to the Ice Cubes and these type of MCs coming up, the way that they would, you know, present a story, or a Rakim or Cool G Rap, you know, like they're
Yeah.
just very detailed in their stories, but the stories are the things that stick with you. And when you're an MC, when you're sharing yourself, I feel like you're sharing your story. So, you know, ain't no better person to tell your story than yourself. So I feel like it's important when you're writing your rhymes, like when people learn about you or learn certain things about you, like if you like basketball or whatever, you're giving them something personal. So you're giving them the personal connection to the things you like. Like if I rap and I throw in Jordan and he's my favorite, you know, basketball player, and he inspired me when I'm writing, you're learning about me and I'm telling my story at the same time, you know, when I'm rapping. So I think that's important. That's very important.
So you worked with a lot of artists that do all different types of things, like different styles, different everything like that. So when you're making these beats, how are you deciding what to put aside and for which artist? Like how do you decide what to keep, which artist should get it? How do you
Man,
go through that?
sometimes I don't decide, you know, sometimes I just make it. Sometimes I make it and I hear the person's voice. I just hear a voice, or I might hear uh, a man's voice or a woman's voice, and that just makes me say, okay, this beat would be for that, you know. And I don't know, it's shots in the dark until you actually hear it. Sometimes I take acapellas of people and be like, man, I hear somebody in this tone, and I'll put an acapella on the beat to see if it sounds like it fits with the beat. You know, it's different ways, you know, I do it. But you know, most of the time, like I said, it's a conversation. Like somebody might tell me where they're trying to go, or they might send me some music to give me a reference of what they're working on at the time, and then it'll give me an idea, like, okay, this type of beat they may sound cool on, you know, or this type of artist may sound cool on this. Let me put this in this folder. But you know, I really don't know. I really don't know. You know, I just until I try it. But that's my way of like kind of imagining when I'm creating to fit something for that artist.
So
You
then
know,
when you're doing these beats, have you had issues of giving the same beat to two people and then they both wrote to it? And then you kind of got to decide. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah. I gave an artist a beat. Didn't hear back from them. Didn't hear from them. And you know, after about 3 months or something, you know, I sent it to somebody else. They hit me back and they did a song to it, and we're talking about like possibly doing a video. And how timing always works. Right when they hit me back, like with that song, then the artist that I originally first sent it to was like, "Yo, I got this song finished. I'm about to put it on." Blah blah blah. They had all these plans,
Oh
you
man.
know, and I had to tell them like, you know, my man's came first, so you know, I had to give him the record. So it kind of was it was a thing about it too for a minute, but it wasn't my fault. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the artist knew it wasn't their fault, but the manager kind of thought that it was my fault, you know, and I was doing something. So that's just things you gotta deal with miscommunication, you know. But
Yeah, it's a lot
that's
of
how
times we
it goes.
hoard beats too. We be having mad beats. Like a lot of artists, we'll have like the beat for mad long, and my thing with it is sell it. You know what I'm saying? This, let me know you sold it. You sell it. All right, cool. I think being that we both rappers, when we were younger, I believe that maybe all of us, because we were trying to come up, we trying to get known, right?
Right.
Believe like we always had this paranoia of like, or just be afraid of like, oh, that beat sold, that was the one that was going to take me out of here. you know, I think everybody has that vibe,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
definitely, definitely.
Yo,
Yeah,
we think every beat that's crazy, like we ain't never gonna get another beat that's fire again. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
Because when we were younger too, like it's a handful. Like we came up in of knowing like it was a handful of MCs. It was a handful of producers. I mean, now we got millions. We have millions or more than that, right? But there was a time it was just hundreds of thousands or thousands of us only.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you ever had that vibe too of like, God, man.
Yeah, I had that vibe a lot, man. Man. Especially like as a on another side, like as a producer, I've had beats where I just kind of hold on to them because I think that's the one where I got to meet certain artists and have it for them and give it to them, and it's gonna change everything, you know. But then there was a day where I realized, like, yo, I'm gonna be making, you know, like I love music, so I'm gonna be making music every day. So there's gonna be better beat. Like there's gonna be better stuff. So what why am I tripping on this? And that's usually what happens. You make a beat, you sit on it for a while, and then you make something better later. Then you're like that beat that you were hype about. You're like, it's really this one, you know. So
I always laugh at that. Yeah, I always laugh at you.
Where did we learn that from? Like, where did we get that from? Like,
I think it was part of the fact that it's kind of like you could say the crabs in the barrel mentality, or just being in the hood trying to come up, or being with your neighborhood, and you want to be the best, and to be the best for the most part you need probably the best beat. And then if you have this dream, if I get on that beat and this beat here, when everybody hear it, they're gonna hear how I'm the best, and then I'll get signed and get you thinking. We think far. We're thinking far. This beat here,
this one beat,
I'm gonna hand it to the DJ. I'm gonna be on Stretch and Bob. I'm gonna be Sirius Radio. I'm going. Like we start thinking of this beat is the beat that's I can hand off, and that's what I think. How we think. Even till today, we still kind of have that, but we're kind of more dialed down of the patience with it. All right, let's just knock the joint out. Let's just knock the joint out and then see where we're gonna go with it. Because you kind of know who you can hand it to, where it can go. Let's just make the joints. But back then, being young, it was just trying to like, I don't know how I'm gonna get there, so I need the best. Oh, that's the best, man. Oh, he rhyming on it. You gave it away. Oh man, now you contemplating your life. Like, where will you go now? Yo,
that's really real. Man.
Yo, you know what I'm talking about, man. You know it,
man. That's funny. That's funny. It's just funny how serious everything was. Like, man, like this was going to change your life, your entire life. This one beat.
And now what's wild, right? Being in a crew, because I've been around like groups too. I've been in the group too. Before it was just me and Punch. It was a group of us. Me, Punch, my boy Sono, my boy Flo. So we did the group thing too, like all of us. And you just think about it, like, man, everybody in the crew is just like, man, that was the joint, man, and we could have did this, and everybody is just thinking of that is gonna be the way out, and this is gonna be the one that get me here. So it's just so funny, man, to think that's how we were just like thinking about it. But it's cool though, man. But I just like to bring that up because here's one thing that I think about. You're where you are in the world. I'm where I'm at in the world. People that's watching this, they're in their city and town. But despite all of that, you going through that with your crew and friends, beats are getting used and people are rhyming on stuff and I'm going through it too. And we're all trying to figure out what's the one to get us to this level. So that's why I love having these conversations, because I get to identify that we're going through the same stuff in the different cities. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And what's so even interesting to that is that's probably culminated to why we're even being able to talk today. Because that search of what you were doing and what I was doing led us into similar paths where we connected. Yeah. So the beats actually do change your life. Every single beat.
That's a fact. They do. They do change your life. For sure. Album wise, all that stuff. Oh
Yep.
man, I got a few more questions, man, but I always love talking about the commonalities that we have, even though we weren't around. Like there's albums that you love that you're listening to where you are, and I'm listening to where I am, and they're having these effects on us in different ways, but
Yeah.
they're inspiring us and motivating us. So when making these beats and stuff, how much do you consider, yo, this joint right here, is dope. We making it in the studio. This is gonna be a joint for the album. Is dope. And then this joint right here, we're gonna come out on stage. We're performing these joints. Like, you know, there's some joints that don't make the stage.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
When
I
you're
think,
making your stuff, you know, like your stuff or album and stuff, whatever.
yeah, I was gonna say because I've done more production and rhyming in recent times. And when I present a lot of my beats, I usually do it live or play them live or, you know, do them on the beat set. So I think when I'm in the studio, I'm thinking of performing live too at the same time. So that actually helps the music too, because when I'm arranging the music, I'm thinking about it as if I'm going to play it on stage. Like, how's it going to move? What do I want it to do? What I want it to sound like? So that helps me create actually in the studio. So both of them help each other, I feel, studio and stage, you know. But I would probably take stage, you know, just because I know I think about how to present whatever is playing or set it up in the arrangement in the studio for when I play it out, you know, to the people. So
Yeah. So when you're in the studio, because I love talking about this stuff because we've been in so many studios. What's your way of gauging the beat is dope? As far as I remember, man, being line like track masters and just like they used to work with a lot of people, and then you know an artist would come in, they try to blast the beat and try to make the artist like it, you know what I'm saying? And then the artist would be like, nah, not them per se, but the track masters used to have artists, other producers come in because you know how they would be kind of the umbrella and then have a stable. So they would have people come in, play beats for them, and the producers would come in and try to blast the beat and try to make dudes like it. But then if the beat was fire or not, little speakers would just as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
what's your testing ground for this now? Are you in the car, studio, headphones? What's the testing ground?
Testing ground. I would probably say that the two places I probably listen to the most in the testing ground is the studio and the headphones.
Okay.
I do those two first and then I take it to the car. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, studio and headphones is like how I'm tweaking it and refining it, and then I take it to.
And what kind of headphones are you doing? The in-ear earbuds or you over the air? Because
Over the ear.
okay.
Yeah, always over the ear for the most part. Sometimes I'll take a walk, but I still have over the ear speakers. You know, I'm taking a walk.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I spoke to somebody and they were saying they do the earbuds, and I was interested in understanding that because I know a lot of the earbuds don't pack some of the same bass. So I know everybody got their preference. So I was wondering like that kind of engulfs you more. And then the car, I always love the car. I think the car test is kind of
you got to do the car. You got to do that. But yeah, I think I like headphones that cover my ears more just because they help drown out sound too. Sounds from the outside when I'm listening. So I think that helps out a lot when I'm listening to something.
Yeah, I was telling somebody the other day that when we used to go to, I believe it was Sony Studios in Manhattan, what was so dope is on the bottom floor where the studio was, is you walking down the hall and then to your left before you get to the studio, it was like 2 steps up, and they actually had a car made like into the wall, like a car setup. So you could just, you just walk up the steps, you slide the door, and then you can sit. You sitting over there, I'm sitting here, and we just kind of like see what
like you in the car.
Like you in the car. Yeah. Then you open up the door and be like, and you just walk back down the hall.
That's ill.
That was kind of genius, right? Because they know everybody. Because it did take time to come out the studio. The hallway was mad long, so to go from the studio, then you got to get in the elevator, or you know what I'm saying, and go outside. It's
an ill idea, man. That's a real.
You know, Manhattan is. You know how Manhattan is. Like you can't park everywhere. So now you know you might be parked on 44th Street,
right?
And it's 3rd Avenue. You know, it's like. And then you got to walk mad. You're not going to the car with that until after, and then you got to come back. So I always
how'd you listen to music because of all that? Like, what was your preference?
I'm car. Later on, I got car because a lot of times I was so young and living in New York, I couldn't drive or didn't drive because it was training. So I had to be focused, headphone stuff for the most part. You know what I'm saying? So before I didn't start driving and have a car till I was like late, like 25 probably. So a lot of other people, they wait. I mean, you got kids now, 16, 17. So and producers younger and so on and so forth. So I didn't really mess with car listening in my own car like that till late. But when I used to ride home with like Track Masters or something like that, and they're playing it and Tone is playing it in his car, poking them, then I'm hearing what they've done to kind of understand what that process is. Yeah. But I never had that opportunity for myself till late. And then nowadays, of course, but it was always headphones and home.
Yep. When I was a kid, it was the car. When I started driving, it was the car test. Every day it was the car test.
What age you started driving?
When you're young, when you get your license when you were 16 or whatever. And I finally got a car, and I always wanted to bump my music in the car. And that was back then when you could buy the radio, you could take out
the Benzie box. Yeah.
Yeah, but you was hype about bumping in your car. Like that was the thing. Like hearing the cars drive in the neighborhood and banging the bass and all that. You wanted to do that. I wanted to do that. So
yeah. See,
that was what was important to me was the car.
Yeah, I got my license late, man. I got my license in my 20s when I moved out to California, and then I got it because I was like, I can't get around out here. I couldn't get around in Cali because of that. But my kids, they started at that age, like you said, like 16, 17, and so on and so forth. Oh man. But so what's your studio setup? What do you recommend, or what do you rock with at home that
let's see, I'm looking around. The basic setup I have is I use Native Instruments Machine. I got MK the Plus, Machine Plus. So I use that. That's like the brains. That's what I do everything in. I chop, play the bass lines, all that. So I do a lot of that in there. And using Logic, and I got a universal audio interface that I run all my guitars and bass and everything through. And that's pretty much the basics of it all. I got turntables, all that, for the records. Mic, I got my favorite mic is a Neumann U87. So I got that, that's up right now. And then I got a couple other mics. Like there's a mic I use like a vocoder, and things like that sometimes to layer stuff. So I have a mic for that. That's the SM57, for that type of grittiness. Got a couple things laying around, but the main focus is the machine. It usually starts there, and then I got a bass guitar that I'll play live bass on if I need it. Some percussion instruments, things like that, but it's usually just machine in the records.
And then what do you feel about like AI? You feel it's challenging, helping? What do you feel?
I mean, it's both. It's both. It's challenging us. And I actually have some negative things about AI just because I know human beings and I know what human beings will do with technology. So I know it's going to go that way. But if you use AI, you can use it as a tool. Like I use it like a lot of producers now. I jumped on the wagon of, creating the AI songs and then sampling them. So
Yeah.
I do a lot of that where I'll just type in prompts and create music and then sample that and manipulate it and chop it. But I use it as a tool of generating it for a sample to chop and still do what I'm already been doing, now to kind of, try to make the sampling less detective, but have the sound of the sampling and the chop in it. So I do that a lot in my production now.
Yeah, man. It's I feel the same way you feel. It's like there's pros and cons to it. And I think what's gonna help for most part is you're gonna have this realm of people such as me and you that have a reputation, and people they love the creativity and what we've done, so they want us to foster that, like put that creativity into it and like really get something from us. And then you got people kids that's younger than us that's mastering it that way, and they're gonna be the next thing to usher in, and then there's companies that they're gonna just be like save money. You got people that's gonna be like spend money, and you got people to be like, let's save money. So it's a give and take with it for me. With that, there's some pros and cons to it, and I think we just got to see what it is. But I think at the end of the day, man, the human element. You got it. We've been here for a minute. So the adjustments, you make the adjustments. I'll try to make the adjustments as well as we go through it. You know what I'm saying? So last question is three artists, albums, songs that you recommend we go listen to right now. It could be your stuff. It could be whatever you want. Just any genre, 3 songs, artists, albums, whatever.
Man, 3 artists or albums to listen to,
or songs. It could be a solo song or something.
Man, there's so many songs. An album that popped in my head.
Yep.
Just now. It could be artist and it could be album, but I would say Slum Village, Fantastic Volume 2. That record, for me, and just in general, like seeing the impact of it now, that was a big record for me coming from Michigan. You know what I'm saying? Like they were a group that literally created their own sound and had a own unique sound that was different from everyone else and came from the same state that I grew up in. And that was the thing I strive to do, was like find a unique sound that stuck out in the world that still was the identity of where I came from. And I think they did a great from their album, the title name to the group name to the sound of the music was just like a movement for cats like me. So that's a record that, I would love people to go listen to and hear the influences of what happened after that record came out. But just where that started from, even how dope it sounds today, 20 something years later, listening to it. So that's definitely, one of them joints. As a producer, I think about a joint that made me want to step up the quality of my music as a producer and like what it sounds like. So, I would say Dr. Dre, Chronic 2001 is a record to listen to in the time that came out and listen to it now and the quality of what it sounds like. It's like it was ahead of the game. Like it's way ahead of.
I've heard people say they like 2001 better than the original Chronic. Somebody was saying that the other day.
Word. I mean, either way, I think they're different. Like, when you listen to the original, I feel like the original is more raw. And then I feel like the later one is more polished. It's just more polished. So they got 2 different styles, but I think they're both equally as dope, but the grittier one is the first one. The grittier one is definitely the first one, The polished one is more like we're still gritty, but we're wearing a suit. We're wearing a suit now.
Yeah.
So that's what the music sounded like to me, and even listening to it for the differences of it and how he mixed that record opposed to that record. That's why it's one to listen to, and I recommend for sure. Last one, since we're talking about writing and rhyming styles, I'll definitely say Nas, Illmatic. you know, is a record that, you know, it's still one of them records to this day where I listen to it and just like, man, when I hear New York State of Mind, it's like how they captured that vibe in that moment, in that time, and in that studio. It's like you hear it in that record. Like when he starts, he's like, you know, I don't even know how I'm gonna start this. You know what I'm saying? And he just go, you know, he just go in. I think that's important to hear. Like not everything is like clean. You know, like with rap, you just came in, you just did it. Like where do I come in at? Oh, you know, like Wu-Tang Clan did it a lot when you listen to their records. You know, sometimes it sounded like RZA started the beat and they didn't know they were supposed to come in with the rap, and then just came in with the rap and then left that in the recording. You know, I think that stuff is important, you know. So,
Yeah.
you know, same with Slum, you know, all these albums I mentioned, they all did that in their music. So that's why I went there listening to it, because you got to feel that what the artist was doing in the studio and how great their music was. In real time, they were just doing it and didn't realize it. They just did it, you know. You know, you're on a lot of those records that in real time it feel like it was done, like the first Black Star, you know, record. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like it's when we look at them now, it's like, yo, those were those crazy records. But to you at that time, you might have, you know, was coming through the studio writing a verse, and you know, I know Lyricist Lounge and things like that were becoming big, and you were just doing your thing at that time, but you might have not known how far it was going to go or what was going to happen. You know, and that's why these records are dope to listen to. They didn't know, but like you see what they did in that moment, how it affected everything afterwards, you know? Like,
I think, you know, Illmatic is probably my top album too. It actually hangs up in my classroom in school.
Word.
I got it in my classroom, and I tell my kids, like, you know, this is the best hip hop album ever. Like I go like, yo, to me, this is the best hip hop album ever. And then I tell them, I go, no, because I got middle school kids, so I got 6, 7, 8, but they all in the same classroom together. So I got the ages range up to, you know, 12 to 11 to 15. It could be up in that room, 14, 15, you know, depending on age and so on. And they're in the room. And I tell him about this album, and I'm like, yo, this is Illmatic. And I say, what's crazy about it is he was writing these rhymes at some of y'all ages, you know?
Right.
Which is even more mind-blowing. I'm like, yo, the rhymes and lyrics he's writing on, this guy is actually like 16, you know, writing some of the craziest lyrics that will change the landscape of writing. And, you know, so every time I see a list like Billboard that had the list the other day and other lists, every time they say the best hip hop album of all time, Illmatic is always number one. It's always number one.
Stood the test of time, man. Every time you listen to it, it takes you back to that time. Like that's Nas for me is up there, man. He's one of my main favorite of all time, though. For me would be G-Rap. Word. I love G-Rap like that. That's kind of when I learned like my standard of writing from G-Rap. And then like, of course, you see the evolution through a Nas and stuff like that and things like that. But yeah, I'm a big fan of all of that. All those albums are so dope based on like with the whole Slum Village thing, the fact of the flavor that they brought. See, that's what people don't really understand. The flavor of the sound and style and styling on you. Like that's styling on you. If you want to hear like you know what I'm saying? I might come with a verse and I'm rhyming. Next thing you know, they come on and you're like, oh, okay. That's like they took the beat and like made it their own thing. You know what I'm saying? How we doing?
The styling was crazy, man. You know, so yeah, man, some great albums, man. So yeah, let's get tell us your social media handles and stuff. You know, people want beats from you, contact maybe, you know, is it you, manager, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Like social media, I'm posting up beats every day. Go to I4KT on Instagram. Outside of that, you know, check out my YouTube. I got videos on there, me making beats and showing me more of the process of what I do. That's 14K TV. Everything's at carrotgoldmusic.com. You know, my music, keeping you up to date with whatever I'm doing. If you ever want to know what I'm up to, you can just come there. If you want to cut through the noise, come to carrigomusic.com and everything is there for you, you know, to check out what I did last, what new songs, whatever it is I'm up to.
How about I heard this Black Thought stuff happening?
Yeah, I mean, all I can tell you, man, is I did it. It's done. It's finished.
Okay.
I can't tell you. I can't tell you
I know
anything.
what you're saying. I wasn't even gonna ask you because I said if anything, I'll cut it out if we can't talk.
Yeah,
about
no, it's you know, he's put it out there. You know, he's put it out there, you know, many times in interviews, and you know, he's right. It's just, you know, we've seen what he's been doing. He's been doing some monumental things like back to back to back to back. So, you know, it's this goes to like being an artist. The thing about being an artist is timing, you know. So it may be a time for it, but it's up to however it's going to be. But you know, the music is finished. You know, that's
I do want to ask one last thing because you brought this up. Timing, man. Now we got Pete Rock Common. I don't know if we would have got that early on because label issues. You know how that was. You can't run with this person. Yo, we're not clearing that. We're not doing that. You got Nas, Primo finally. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, we got you, him. Like, you know how I don't think people understand how difficult it probably was to not get those albums. And it took now that everybody's kind of in the comfort that they can kind of do it on their own and what they want to do. How do you feel about that aspect now that we can, yo, KT, and they just do the album? There's no like this whole big overthinking.
I love it. I love every single one. Like from the Nas, the Hit Boy, to even now, even Q-Tip and LL Cool J making a record.
Yes.
Like I love it because I know how hard it is to find a space and time to connect with somebody and make that, or a Common and Pete Rock, and make something that's authentic and, you know, it's coming out. And I love it. I love seeing these brothers that I grew up watching still excited about the music and still connecting and putting out, you know, albums. Like, that's inspiring to me. That's really inspiring to me, you know. So I love it. I want to keep seeing it.
Yeah, I'm happy they're doing it, and hopefully more people will collaborate more. You know, like some of our favorites. It'd be dope. Like, you know, always love like an OC and all these other artists that we love, and now you just do the album. There's no overthinking. Like, yo, I got some joints. Let's just do it and put it out. The labels don't stop it. Like, nah, we're not clearing that. And you'd be like, damn, you know what I'm saying? It used to be crazy.
I feel like where we're at now is the pinnacle of like all the resources that we're given. Like you know, like before we didn't have those resources, or you had to go through a certain outlet. But now it's like you have no reason, like equipment wise, accessibility wise, you have no reason to make anything with anybody. There's nothing in front of you that's stopping you but yourself. So there's no reason, if you're working on music in your world and I'm working on my music in my world, we see this as, yo, we need to get together. There's no reason why it shouldn't happen. Like,
yeah, nothing. Man. So I love that aspect of the no red tape, really, like that. You could you can actually now literally pop up in the studio and do the song. You couldn't do that years ago. You pop in the studio, the artist won't hop on the record because they like, I got, you know, I don't know if it's gonna get cleared, or they may hop on it and then the record is fire and they like, yo, is that gonna be in an album? We saw you and such in the studio.
Yep.
No, now you gotta replace that person singing, had to replace the rapper. It's crazy. Now it's like, I cleared it. I told the label.
Yep.
I cleared it, not the label clearing it. I told the label, let that fly.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
I think that's beautiful, you know, and that's what we always wanted. We wanted that. So let's take advantage of that and do more stuff together. And you know, like it's all good.
Yo, 14 KT, man. You're iconic with making music, beats, rapping. Your contribution to the game is I would probably say maybe undervalued with how dope you are, man. Underrated in all realms and all facets of putting out music, contributing to hip hop. And I'm very appreciative of meeting you years ago and then still being able to talk to you now and still being able to be a fan and support of what you do. And I just want you to keep going, doing your thing, as I know you will. I'm awaiting all the other stuff, as everybody that's watching this, we waiting to nod our heads more and be like, who made this? Oh, he made this. And we appreciate everything that you do, man. You know, so
thank you,
yeah,
man. Thank
yeah.
you for letting me be on the show, man. And I get a chance to kick it with you. That's valuable to me, man. And it always was, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your spirit. I appreciate you always, you know, somewhat mentoring me in a sense, you know, whenever we got a chance to get a chance to speak, man. So I thank you for all of that, man.
Yeah, I'm always available to you, brother. So, you know,
on top of being one of the dopest MCs ever. And one thing I gotta say is, like, when it came to freestyling back in the day, you and my man Juice were like the top two people that I thought were the most amazing freestylers I ever heard in my life. And I always saw you live doing it, and how you would take stuff from the crowd and put it into song and make and tell a story. And I just thought that was the most incredible stuff. Like,
thank you, man.
You are a very blessed and talented person, so I'm grateful to have met you, man. It's like, seriously.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, and just for me is probably my number one freestyle of all time. You know, I've seen him do some amazing things with it, man. But yeah, man. So once again, all y'all out there, thanks. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, holla at 14KT. And I ask you, what are your words worth? Peace.
Peace.
Thanks, man. This was